Great, fantastic. You are live streaming, you are recording. Have a fantastic meeting. I'll be here if you guys need me.
Great, thank you, Brandy.
You're welcome.
Hi, everyone. So I am chairing this month's meeting again. So you can all look forward to that. I hope you've all had a good month. So I guess just off the top, I don't know if everyone heard, but our mandate was approved last on the 7th, which is very exciting. And so yes, thumbs up to all of us for making that happen. Big first step. And now the fun begins. So just looking at the agenda that was sent out, the first thing that I see here is the Arts Advisory Committee action items. So this was brought up at an earlier meeting as something that I will pass along to yes. So the action items, I don't know if you saw my email this morning, but I did send out the action items list. I apologize for the delay on that. It was just an email. I sent it maybe 10 minutes ago. I apologize. I thought I had sent it out. So that has since been sent out. So, and it's not very long right now. It was very loose in general, but I just thought we should take a minute just to take a look at that. And see how we're going to put this mandate into action. See, a couple people are logging in there. Great. So just to, is anyone having trouble accessing that? Do I need to share that again, or? Everyone's in? Okay, great. So the action items that I caught from the last meeting were, the first one was utilize Marshall Green, I'll put the full name. Marshall Green's newsletter to spread the word about what the advisory committee is up to and open the channel for communication. So that was last time it was brought up that we should let people know that we're here and that we're a resource for people to reach out and a channel that people can use to get that ear to council. The other one that was brought up, I believe, by Councillor Riepma was the idea of supporting Marshall Green's outdoor concert series, if he's interested in doing that again, as well the Meridian Place activation question, seeing how we might be able to support that or look into that. Putting together some other motions, and then potentially as well doing a post-election presentation to council in, say, September that states who we are, what we do, and perhaps provides a nice overview of the arts and culture community, especially if there's turnover in council. Does anyone remember anything else that should be on there based on our previous conversations? No? Okay, great. So then was there anything else that we, or were there any points or anything about any of these action items specifically that people wanted to address or discuss? Yes, Stephanie.
Sorry, I'm just wondering on your last point around presenting to council and around the election items. Brandy, I'm just wondering if you're able to share, so this existing advisory group in its existing form is for the term of this existing council, and then we go through a new. So I'm wondering, just sharing some of that might help inform some of that timing pieces, because September is pre-election. So if you're looking at where that sort of sits, it's just the context. So I just thought it might be helpful in terms of thinking about that bullet point, just to give a little more context on how the advisory group works from that composition related to council.
That's correct. So this committee will sit for the term of the current council. So whether or not basically the points that you are preparing now may carry over and be accepted by the next group within the committee, that's a possibility. Some of the other committees have been talking about that, coming up with things that could quite possibly form future committees, help forming them in that regard. So yeah, you're here within the term.
Within the term. Okay, so then it might be, I don't know. So then what might that, if we were to go with the September presentation, what do we think that might look like instead? Like, would it be to state our case for why we should stick around for the next council? Should it be just kind of like, what might that be? Or do we think we should actually move it to after the election then?
You know what, I'm not really sure on how to answer that.
Yeah,
Again, like I can see this committee kind of carrying on and definitely being accepted for the following term as well. I don't see why it wouldn't be. It seems to be pretty important. So, Jerry, go ahead.
I was going to say maybe just a quick recap of you know, the fact that we have just been formed and where we've gotten to this stage, and the argument for continuing with the present membership of the committee. I think that might be appropriate just before election. And as you say, a new council can either say yes, we agree they should continue, or get rid of those bums and get somebody else in there. Whatever, you know, whatever. It's at their pleasure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Councillor Riepma, I think I saw your hand as well.
Yeah, I think Jerry just stole all my thunder. I think that's exactly what we probably should do. Is we should go to council in September and tell them about all the great work that we have done and all the great work that still needs to be done. And then yeah, it's up to the new council to, first of all, continue the committee or to decide who is on the committee, and give it a new mandate or turn it loose. And so I'm suggesting actually that when the time comes that everybody reapplies for the committee, and then hopefully we'll get continuity. That would be the ideal, if we could just get continuity going through. But
okay,
yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's exciting. I'm excited by that. I think as well, it may be worth, you know, if we're going to do this, to just make sure we state why this was founded in the first place, right? Is that like the arts community felt, you know, that they needed a stronger voice at the table, that we needed to have a better ear to council in terms of decision makings, that sort of thing, and that it was public pressure that really made this a reality. I think that's something to state, so that way, yeah, if post election there's you know, there's some turnover, which there almost certainly will be, then, you know, we've already made that case, and those who stay are aware of the value and why this came about. Great. Okay, well, that's exciting. So then what would be the next steps for that? Like, how would we make that a reality? Councillor Riepma or Stephanie or Brandy, someone?
Well, it seems to me that that what we probably should do is have one or two people put together a presentation that would be scheduled for council in September.
For sure.
And just hit 3 points, you know, what we've done, what still needs to be done, and why there should be continuity.
Absolutely. I personally am a strong believer in book the venue and then make the show, you know, so how do we book, like, how do we set that up, and what date is that? So that way we can come up with a plan to work backwards from that point.
Well, I guess Brandy or somebody can probably tell us when the council meeting is in September, and then and then we can work from there.
Not ignoring you guys. I am.
No. It's all good.
All right, so I have September 19.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
if
far
we gear
scheduled for
ourselves to that, then there you go.
Great. And so do we have to how do we do that now? So
Oh.
do I say Councilor Reid must set that up, or how does that happen?
I think the best way to do that is to, maybe Stephanie would be able to answer that better than me, but I would think that you contact Wendy Cook and say, we'd
Wendy
like
Cook.
to speak to council on September the 29th.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't hurt to send an email into city clerk's office here with a request to speak at that particular meeting. And if you're providing a presentation, state that as well, because then they'll be asking for the presentation materials to be able to show it for you.
Excellent. Great. Okay, that's good. How exciting. So September 19th is our date. Excellent. That's great. So we need some volunteers to help spearhead that presentation. Yay, Scott. An eager hand. I love that. Thank you, Scott. That's great. Do we have anyone who can help Scott out with that?
No, don't do it.
You want it all? You want it?
No, I don't. I can always. I've done many of these, so I can do. Because what I'm just backing up as you're doing, Ian, is presumably if we're going to do something, is the first draft of this that we would present either at this meeting or to each other is our August meeting. Is we'd have here's our first draft, and then we could discuss it here, discuss it offline. September we come back to our meeting. We have the final draft, and our final draft's going to be probably 3 or 4 days before the council meeting. We do the final draft, and then we send it off to council, and then we present on September the 19th. That's what I'd be thinking.
That sounds great.
And perhaps things could be done the way you do it, Ian, with a presentation on Google Docs or something. And as people get ideas or think of things, they can do a quick edit there, and so it can be a work in progress with as many people as possible. Does that make sense?
I love that. That's a great
absolutely.
suggestion, Jerry.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So yeah, so
Are you
Scott,
wanting to make this a standing item for upcoming meetings for updates and stuff like that? Okay, so I will make that note. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. Okay, yeah. So Scott, if you wouldn't mind starting a document, and we can, if you have ideas or notes, send them along to Scott in that document, and then we'll go from there.
Start a document as in the thing that you do with Google Documents and.
Yes. So as of this morning, you don't know how to do that. Okay, I will do that. I will help you with that. I will start it, and then it's up to you. Okay. Okay. So start Google Doc.
Yeah, and presumably eventually becomes a PowerPoint presentation, very similar to what Chuck and them did a couple meetings ago.
Yes, precisely.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you, Scott. Things are happening. Great. Okay. So that's that action item there. So the other one that I'm looking at, I think some of these we should probably have a discussion about, but the other one is the idea of utilizing Marshall Green's newsletter to help spread the word about what we do. I guess we probably, if we want to pursue that, we probably just need to send him, like, I don't know, a short paragraph and just ask him to put that up there. Is there a point of contact that we should provide for people? Like, should we have an email? Should we have, or is someone willing to be our interlocutor, or whatever the term is?
I don't know if it should be if it should be a group email that we can all go into, because again, I feel like I'm volunteering for too many things all at once. If it's a group email that we can all go into, then we could all look at it, because I think if we have a contact, it's probably going to be very busy. It may be very, very busy, and there may be things that we can deal with and things that we can't deal with, and we may get lots and lots of opinions. And so I don't know how to work that with because if I volunteer and say it can be sent to this email, then it comes to me, and then I'm giving it to the whole group. or or there's just a group email that comes up calling Barrie Arts Advisory Committee, and then it's there for all of us. However, there's got to be a point person to respond.
Because he's not here, I'll volunteer him. I think the chair should be the point person. But exactly how that email contact works, I suspect other committees have some way of contacting them with the city of Barrie. So let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's look at what other committees are doing and go that way. Does that make sense?
100%, absolutely. Yeah, Councillor Reedman, I saw your hand. Did Jerry steal your thunder again?
No, he didn't this time. But he did point to something. And I guess the first thing that I would say is that normally I think, and Brandy can correct me, but I think any meetings that I chair, the correspondence tends to be to the chair, and that is probably the smart thing to do. The second thing I wanted to say is I think we need to think quite carefully about what we want to do for Marshall, or what we want Marshall to do for us, because that will kind of limit the scope of what we're doing. And he's already got a plate full, so we don't want to sort of overload him either. So I think that's worthy of some discussion.
Yeah, I hear you on that for sure. I mean, I think it's just, I think the idea is that it's a sort of more formal channel through, and we're just kind of adding it to Marshall's ever expansive newsletter of events and stuff that are going on, just as a way that people know that they can reach us through, instead of, I don't know, emailing Jerry, specifically, or Scott, or, or whatever, So I don't think it would be actually too much work on Marshall. It would just be, and honestly, the copy could stay the same month to month. It just is just another way to put that out there. Yeah, Scott.
Yeah, so I think it's just it's almost like we're doing with the general public what we want to do with the council in September. So we want to say this is who we are. This is what we do. This is we're kind of your voice. And so that advertises us and probably brings in extra people that will chat with us. And then I guess the key is that there's something where you can send information requests or whatever to the chair.
Yeah, totally. So do we have someone who would be willing just to write that copy for, I don't know, approval at the next meeting? Scott, yay, Scott.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you,
so,
Scott.
Again, company car and expense account comes with these jobs. I don't know. It's my first council there.
Awesome.
Yeah,
so I'll also create that document for you, Scott, in the Google Drive right now. Marshall Green newsletter.
Thank you.
Verbiage. Great. Done. Okay.
I'm going to leave the meeting so I don't volunteer for anything else.
No, you're not allowed. I need you. Great. Okay. So then the other things that we wanted to talk about would be support of Marshall Green, at least on this action item list, support of Marshall Green's concert series and Meridian Place activation. Now, Councillor Reitman, I believe you brought these forward. Did you want to expand on what you thought that might look like from what we can offer?
Well, dealing with Marshall Green, I did have a chat with him a few weeks ago, and he is thinking about doing a couple of concerts in the park like he organized a couple of years ago. I don't know where his thinking is at the moment. I have not followed up with him, but I thought they were terrific, and terrific for community building. They don't have to be in the park across from his house, but they could be anywhere in the city, actually. And it'd be really kind of neat if we could have them scattered throughout the city all summer long. Wouldn't that be cool? So yeah, I think somebody needs to chat with him and find out what he needs in terms of support and what he's thinking about. In terms of the Meridian Place, and maybe we should just take one at a time, but just the Meridian Place one, I think Stephanie is probably the best position to talk about that, because I think there's, I don't know, there's a bunch of things about how we operate parks and what's permitted in parks, and I don't know exactly how all that works, but so I guess to make it, my very simple approach to it is, I would love to see musicians or whoever, jugglers, on that stage every night, every afternoon of the summer. Presumably that takes a bit of organizing, and presumably that takes a bit of money. But I think it would really activate that space, and it would really give our artists an opportunity to showcase themselves. I don't know how to do that.
I think
I'm sure that there's some staff around that could figure that out.
I think Claire, you've hit on maybe perhaps our role in that, and that maybe is just simply to make a recommendation that the things be put in place to facilitate that. In other words, maybe that means hiring someone, maybe that means assigning someone, giving a defined budget for it. I think that's well within the parameters of our mandate. Is like you said, it'd be a great idea to have entertainment of that sort in all the parks throughout Barrie. I like that from the standpoint that it doesn't sort of isolate the entertainment to one specific area. But our role, again, we have to be careful not to try to take on too much, should perhaps be to make a motion to encourage the city to do steps to facilitate that. And as you've indicated, it takes people, money, and time.
Yeah, Steph, go ahead if you want to talk to that.
Sure. A couple of things on Meridian Place, and certainly I think Rob may want to jump in. So it is a park space and defined as a park. In terms of its programming, depending on who's initiating the programming, there's a couple of things. So we've introduced business in the parks. So what we've seen is some organizations or businesses coming in. We've seen some yoga done, so where they've got a pre-registered class, they're able to book it. So it is open for that lens. It's also open for public gatherings like a special event, and that would be through a special events permit. We are working closely with the BIA. They, of course, are driving open air Dunlop. So looking at some opportunities, and I would say, Ms. Daniels, if I can put you on the spot a little bit, to say we're also connected in with McLaren, as is the BIA, around opportunities to do some activations that may not be directly in Meridian, but are tied to open air or downtown activations. And then internally, we do have a working group that is reconnecting. Obviously, we've been in the same kind of hiatus around gathering related to programming Meridian. So there is some internal work going on. I certainly see maybe there's some opportunity once we've gone a little bit further down that path to come back to you with sort of what the city side of things are looking at, and maybe there's some opportunity for input there, which I think would be a great opportunity to talk about that. And there's active programming, and because it is a park, there's also the passive programming element. So how do we make that space conducive, with the patio furniture and some of the things that have been done to invite those down there? The other piece we're working on is the Emerging Musicians Program. And that again has some opportunity to drive some young musicians into opportunities to activate spaces. So there's a few things on the go. I would almost, if I could be so bold, to suggest that maybe it's something we take away, because we're going a little bit further, and it's something maybe we can add to the agenda for April. And I think we'd probably have a little bit more robust movement forward on what some of those pieces look like to inform the group.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. I Absolutely. Yes, for sure. Yeah, I don't think that's too bold at all. I think that's completely reasonable, frankly, from my perspective. Rob.
Yeah, just to add to Stephanie's comments, and I think we're working together in regards to activate the Meridian Place area, and I think lately you've seen a few things that we've done down there through special events, whether it's the chimes lighting system or the arts, the public art opportunities, the things that are going on in those spaces, and the lighting of the structure. We've got a process in place that if, for lack of a better term, I couldn't think of a tent, I guess the roof part. We've got some lighting there that allows us to recognize certain events that are happening by colors and that type of thing. So there are a few things happening there to keep that space activated, and people come down and see ice sculptures and those types of things that we are putting in that space. So we are trying to utilize that space and activate it through special events and those types of programming, and we will continue to do that. And some other things that are coming up in the future, working through that working group that Stephanie identified is certainly the way that we'll keep activating that space. So I think you'll see a lot more things happening in the next year in those spaces.
Yeah, totally fair. And as the leader of one of the groups that have used this space before, like the fact is that if you're the programming that happens there has to be very specific for it to be effective, right? Like in all likelihood it needs to be free or highly also you definitely need a sound system if you're doing any kind of performance. Sound just does not carry in that space, which then is also subject to weather. Like there's just all these considerations that make it a little complicated to utilize for larger scale events. But anyway, that's just my perspective, and I'm sure Steph and Rob know all about those issues, and I'm sure, and yes, I look forward to hearing more about that in the coming
Some
months.
of the challenges is the wind, actually, because it's quite a wind tunnel,
yes.
right? And
yes.
So to put up, we're talking about putting that screen up so we can do movies, but then the screen blows into the bay, so you have to be careful of those types of things.
Yes, absolutely. It's a giant sail. Yeah,
exactly.
Totally. Yeah,
it's true.
Fair enough. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Steph and Rob and the whole team, Aaron as well, and Amanda and everybody for your work in that already. Yeah. Great. Okay. Awesome. So those were the action items. Anything? Oh yeah, Stephanie, go ahead.
I'm just here to populate with you with ideas, clearly. Just a couple other things
Please.
to pop on your radar that I think might have a great opportunity for this group is Culture Days. They happen in the fall. It's a 3-week program. We've typically done calls. Again, the past 2 years, we've been very focused on virtual. I think we have a new opportunity to bring back people in gathering ways again in the fall. So, I think we could maybe populate again some discussion for the next agenda, but maybe we can share give a little bit of background, what it's about, and look at some input from the advisory group. Maybe there's something the advisory group may want to do to draw attention. And that sort of leads to the other populating idea. Again, take them, leave them. It's just stuff that falls in my head that I'd spit out. But we did sort of that online networking with gathering the cultural community just for some engagement discussion. I wonder if that's something that this advisory group may want to consider participating, hosting, in partnership maybe with economic and creative and rec and culture. Just a bit of there used to be I know once upon a time, an annual update to the culture community. We may not have all the pieces there to do that, but if you're talking about presenting in September, we can at least sort of talk about maybe you do want to have some gathering, even if it's just networking, engaging, connecting people, that may be something we can look at. I know, and again, lots of places to host and think about, but I just wanted to throw that out there as ideas and action items that could be quite attainable in an easy way.
Love it. Thank you, Stephanie. Amanda, I saw your hand up as well.
Yeah, I just want to jump in. Brandy, if you wanted to add for next month's agenda, I'll prepare a presentation on Culture Days, just to bring the group up to speed on the event so that they can start populating some ideas. And actually quickly, just while she's with us, because I know she's not here for the whole meeting, Carol Ann Ryan's here with us. She's the City of Barrie's Public Art Coordinator. So Janet Lougheed is on this committee as well. She represents the Barrie Public Art Committee, but Carol Ann is a staff member that supports public art. And I was just thinking, as well as a way the group might support, is we have lots of opportunities coming forward for community engaged public art projects. And we're always putting out calls for artists. So perhaps we can share those calls with the group, and you can share them with your networks as well. So we can start to populate new artists for our roster.
Love it. Thank you for joining us, Carolyn. Awesome. Okay, great. Cool. Thank you. Thank you for those suggestions. Anything else we want to add to this list? Yes,
one question is the busker program happening this year?
Yes, so our Emerging Musicians program has been operating for the last 4 years. That program started before the pandemic, when we were struggling with our street performer program and how to ensure that the downtown was populated with the kinds of performances we wanted. So we partnered with an organization that run that program. There are some limitations to it in that it is because they use Canada Summer Jobs funding, that they can only employ youth in that program up to age 30. But it is a full-time summer job program where musicians and other creatives get to gain experience, and they do busking as part of that program. So we're taking a memo for, or staff report forward to staff to determine what the program will look like for this year, but keep an ear out. We should have an update soon. And we're looking to explore other options to create a more fulsome and inclusive programs. So yeah, keep an ear out. I'm sure that we'll have an update for you maybe next month or in May.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Riepma?
Yeah, I just heard that you're a youth until age 30. I'm starting to feel young again. The question that I had is, I was hoping to get an update on the Performing Arts Center.
Yeah, so that's actually on our agenda. I believe that is the third point on our agenda. So we'll segue right along to that shortly. But is there anything else regarding the action items? Okay, great. Moving on. Okay, so the next thing is the actually the Georgian Theatre update first. So Rob.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, just an update. Georgian Theatre, we're continuing to move ahead. Still working with the Georgian Theatre, the Georgian College, and the getting the longer-term contract in play. But we're looking at some shorter dates before we get that agreement in place, because we have a dance competition on March 27th. Another show for This Is It Dance from April 8th to the 10th. We got Music in Motion at the April 22nd and the 24th. We've got the Pink Floyd tribute Pigs on the end of April. All those things that are happening in those spaces. So lots moving on into that specific area. The challenges that we have at this present time is that the college is in a labor dispute, which could create some problems for us to be able to activate the space on March 27th. So we're keeping a close contact with them, and hopefully that doesn't occur. But those are the types of things. So we are ready to be able to start putting on those performances and start moving forward. We hope that we're able to move pending any labor disputes. But we are working with the college to try and get that solved and keep moving forward. So that's kind of the update. Any of the major construction pieces have been delayed as well, but we're able to manipulate the facility the way we need to legally and through the fire department, that we can alter some of the things that we can do to be able to get through the space on a temporary basis. So we're in pretty good shape to be able to keep moving forward. And that's really the key, because we want to get people out and being involved in these events that we've got booked. So that's kind of the short update of Georgian Theatre. If anybody has any questions, I'll do what I can to answer them.
Yeah, so the plan is that you'll be open by the 27th of, like, for the event of the 27th of March.
Correct.
Okay. So is there like a deadline for like, is it like we need to be open by the 21st so we can then, or whatever, you know, something like that? Or is it just,
Well,
that's
we'll
not
be
really a
ready
question,
to,
I apologize.
we'll
But
be,
anyway, yeah.
we'll be able to roll well before the 27th. Like we'll have things in play. And so we're aiming for that opening date, kind of where we're aiming at. The only thing is if there's a labor dispute, that could come on the 26th. Like that is not out of our control. That's a bit of a challenge that we have.
And so if that is the case, that means that none of the repairs can happen. No one's allowed in the space really, even if it's a municipally run building within the college.
The concerns in regards to opening up the space and the lockdown the college, if it's a labor dispute and there isn't any opportunities to get into the spaces, they'll lock down the space so there isn't any access to it. So that's obviously part of the challenge of us using somebody else's spaces. And that's why we really want the PAC to occur, because then it's within our control. The construction pieces, we've already been doing some of the repairs on that space, some of the minor stuff that we've been doing. It's just some of the major pieces that we need to look at, and whether it's fire crash doors, but we have an option to be able to work around that and some of those types of things on a temporary basis that we can make sure that we can get the space open for when we're hoping to on March 27th.
Wow. Okay, cool. And I really think that can't be understated, that issues like labor disputes and just the fact that we're so tied to what happens at the college is such a strong and important case for why we need this Performing Arts Center. Yeah, Scott.
Yeah, so my group Bravado is we're potentially looking at doing something in May. So one of my members asked if we could get some specific updates. So there's a couple items that needed to get done. So I just want to know if I could where they were. So the curtains, have they been fixed or done?
Yeah, they've been tested. I actually don't have, they were just tested last week, so I don't know what the results are. I know that we had one that we were going to have to replace, but the other ones we can deal with. And I think we're in a good position to be able to keep moving forward with that issue.
So were they, were they going to get sprayed or replaced? Because
they can be treated. Yeah, they can be treated up to a point, and then you have to replace it. So, and that's where we are. We have to evaluate that. And so we just went through a full testing protocol last week, and I'm still waiting on the results of those, but that's from my understanding at this present time.
Okay. Exit doors, because I think that was a safety one.
Yeah, and what we've done is, if that situation isn't resolved by the time that you're in there, Scott, with your group, then what we can do is deal with it in a staffing component. The fire department, we've had some discussions with the fire department how we deal with it, and we'd have to put somebody at the door throughout the whole time that's open, and that they would open and close that door based on any certain circumstances that are occurring. So that's something we can do on a temporary basis, but that becomes a lengthy, costly process if you're going to do that on a long term. But for a short term, that's something that we can do.
Now, when we're talking exit doors, is that the exit doors to the lobby, or you're also talking the exit door that's at the back of the stage out to almost like the parking lot?
Out to the lobby.
Out to the lobby. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the fly gallery or fly?
Yeah, there is some safety issues there. We are getting those repaired. So that shouldn't be a problem moving forward.
Okay. Yeah, because Bravado put me on there, spinning around.
You want to fly?
Yeah. But if with my group is they put me up there and then just keep me up there and leave. But that's a whole different issue now for this. And the roll up door at the back, because we were always having trouble getting equipment in.
Yeah, that is a big problem there. That is something that we are on hold on. So we may have to manually lift and close that door and jimmy it different ways. So there are processes. It's not the great one, not the best way. We really want to get in there and get that work done, but because of some of the delays coming out of the Georgian College, it's put us just back in regards to some of that. But so we've worked on different opportunities to work around some of these things for a temporary basis, because you can't do it long term that way. You certainly want to get on that. So we've got some things in place. So as far as the door, it works. most of the time. So, and we know how to fix it when it does go. It's just, we don't want that situation to occur on a show that's trying to get in and out fast, right? And so we want to really fix that. So we know that that's one of our priorities. And as soon as we can get in there and start taking that door apart and replacing it. And we've checked on delivery dates. It doesn't seem like it's a problem for that. Believe it or not, it's not sitting on a ship outside of California or wherever in a storage room, storage box. It's something that we can get a hold of and get done in a fairly timely manner. So we're feeling pretty comfortable that we can get that done as soon as we get the agreement in place.
Okay. So the budget's all been done for it. And I think you talked last time that all the vendors have been contacted and they've given quotes. So is it almost like you finally get the signature on the contract, and then all of a sudden there's 4 phone calls that come out, one to the curtain people, one to the exit people, one to the flag gallery people, one to the roll up door people saying go, and then they just take whatever, they said they've already got a list that says week 1 or day 1 we're going to do this, day 5 we're going to do this, day 10 we're going to do this, we're finished by day 15, and all they do is plunk in those dates. Is that kind of...
Yeah, that's generally it, Scott. What we would do is we'd look at what the utilization of the facility is like, and so that we don't want to disrupt some of the stuff that's happening. So if you look at what I mentioned in the schedule, there's a gap between April 10th and April 22nd. If there is something that we can do in that space, like put crash bars on the doors, we do it during that time. So there's no impact to the groups. And so we're massaging that and working with that. So we make sure that we don't impact anybody's space. And we, like I said, we've got contingency plans upon contingency plan to deal with any impacts that may happen.
Okay. So really, and you already know the schedule. So yep. You get the go ahead and it's like, okay, you got something March 17th. And then you've got a gap of a week and a half. So within that week and a half, you can have you can have all the vendors in there doing something. You stop on April the 10th. You start again on April the 11th, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. There shouldn't be any impact to the user groups. You guys will probably see it seamlessly. There won't be any problems there. The only one that's out of our control really is the labor disruption.
Yeah, and the strike mandate's on Friday, right?
Right. I think they already have the strike mandate, from what I understand. So they're just trying to decide if they're going to strike on Friday.
Right. Great. Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. Any other questions?
So fun. Yeah. Any other questions?
Sorry, Ian.
No. I just, yeah. Jerry, do you have anything?
I'm good.
Oh, okay. I just saw you unmuted, so I thought it might be something. Great. Well, thank you, Rob, and thank you, Scott, for all those questions. Those were really great questions to know. And yeah, thank you, Rob, for that update. I guess keeping Rob in the spotlight, the Performing Arts Center update.
I'll start. I'm sure Steph would like to jump into at some point here. We are working through the Performing Arts Center update, I guess. What we're doing internally is Steph and I are looking at the departments and the roles of the Performing Arts Center moving forward. Working with our EMT group and identifying resourcing and being able to move this project forward. One of the key identifications is that we'll have to start looking at a report, or pardon me, a request for a proposal for a consultant to come into play to be able to start working on all the information that the task force has put together. So that is our next steps, and we're just moving forward in that direction. Stephanie, did you have anything else to add to that? It was pretty short, but I think that's where we are at this present time.
Yeah, correct. We do need to put the resource together to determine, to help us vet through and get us to a project scope. So that is where we're headed. It is a bit of a work in progress at this point.
Can I ask, how are consultants and architects selected? What, I mean, obviously they have to send in proposals, but how are these people chosen, and how does that all happen?
Well, I am not our purchasing department, and they could probably give you far more detail, but in a nutshell, we do have our purchasing bylaw that outlines the process in which we are required to go out and seek consultants, and that would include architects, etc. It is very much a robust and very detailed RFP that defines the scope, deliverables, what we're looking to achieve. There is then a marking scheme that goes with that looks at a variety of categories, including experience, prior projects, how closely have they said they're going to deliver what we need to deliver, and some of those other pieces. And then there is an internal group that does that scoring. Pricing also goes into that scoring mix. And then based on that recipe, you get your output of who the winner is. And again, purchasing would probably kill me. I probably missed a couple of elements, but that is the nutshell of how our procurement process works. So most key is making sure you've got your scope and your deliverables clearly defined. It does go out through bids and tenders. That is our procurement process. When we go out to a broader marketer, that's the software that we use. And then again, we go through that scoring process, and then the candidate is selected.
Fascinating. Thank you. Are those calls for proposals like publicly available? Like they are, eh? Okay.
Yeah, so we could share, Ian, when it gets to a posting, we would certainly be able to, anyone can go to bids and tenders, and it's open to the broader market in terms of being able to apply, and we can share that when that goes out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you. And is there, like, I'm sure there's a you may have even said this already. I'm sure there's like a network, but like, is there outreach to groups that have done similar projects before, or is it just a blank call, or how does that happen?
There are sometimes opportunities where there is a roster sort of known commodities that you can let them know that it's been posted. I think we can do that. Again, I'd have to revalidate with what our procurement policy allows, but if there are if there are organizations that we want to make aware, when it's in the public realm, we can certainly do just a bit of a notification that it's out there, but that's about as far as we can go. Rob,
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Rob.
Yeah, to that point is we don't go specific to a company. That is something that we would not be in support of, because then it looks like you're asking for invitations, and that's not the situation. But a lot of those types of things have industry groups where a lot of people are a part of, and we would send it to those organizations where they could post it on their webs so that it's all encompassing, right? And that's the kind of notifications of those types of areas that we would identify so that we can give better feedback on our RFPs.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, any questions for Rob or Steph about that?
Yeah, is there a timeline on that? Like, are you thinking within the month of, I don't know, in April this will be done, and then it goes out in tender for May and blah 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 blah? Is there that kind of timeline set up yet?
I think ultimately that timeline is still to be determined. We're hoping to get something in play in the near future, but we haven't identified, and to Stephanie's point, we're still trying to resource this and identify how we're going to get this moving forward. We anticipate that we'll have that identified in the next couple of months, and then there'll be some RFP work that needs to be done with our purchasing department and the resource to be able to get something out. So you're probably not looking till fall that we probably release something, and then we could get something in play as far as consultant on board sometime late 2022, and then we hopefully get some information back and back in early 2023 when new council's in play and everything else. It seems to makes much more sense to do that.
Gotcha. And with that, I think we talked about this last time, is we know that a new council is coming up in the fall, but presumably most of this work will be kind of done, and somebody will be chosen by fall. You just worry about the new council comes in and say, yeah, I don't like it. then stops it. I mean, they can probably do that at any time, but but for example,
Yeah.
so if October is the election, so the consultant architect is actually chosen, given the contract, and said, okay, you're going to do this. They're going to do their work, and then then obviously they present their results to council, but it'll get done before the end of this council, kind of thing.
We'll have made commitments that council couldn't go back on at this present time. How's that? No, I'm just saying there'll be contracts in place, right? And we'll be moving forward so that we have got that solidification, making sure that we're moving forward. And I think the last thing a new council would want to do is come in and stop something like that, because I think that would create all kinds of problems, and there's costs associated with doing those types of things. So yeah, Scott, we're pretty sure we're going to stay in front of that and make sure that we get this project moving forward.
Perfect.
Oh, Stephanie. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, so council has approved the 2022 budget and given us direction. So we would move forward based on that direction, and there's already capital approved in there. The new council would look at a 2023 budget, both as a capital and operating. So at that time, they could contemplate any works associated with the Performing Arts Center and all of our capital projects for that matter, and operating as part of that process. But certainly the work that we're to be undertaking in this budget year is budgeted for, and so we would be executing.
Awesome. Thank you, Rob and Steph, again, and Scott for the questions. Anything else about that Performing Arts Center update? Claire, anything else you wanted to hear?
No, I wanted to hear earlier dates, but we'll leave that to staff.
Indeed. Thank you. Okay, so then moving right along. So the last agenda item that I have here is the Performing Arts Awards ideas, which I guess would be Amanda.
Yeah, so I think this is just a rollover from our last meeting. Ian, thank you so much for your thoughts. I've kept those along with the other information I've started to gather. Just a reminder, we are going to go ahead with likely a November date. We're still keeping our mind open and our thoughts open about potential venues. So, that's something that we would absolutely encourage any thoughts around. We do get over 230 people, so we can't do the South Shore Center anymore, unfortunately. So we're looking for bigger venues. Being November, we will be up against Christmas parties, sporting events, winter sporting events, other things. So if you've got any ideas, fire them my way. Again, keeping in mind that with each Arts Awards, we like to celebrate some of the big things that have happened throughout the year. So if there's anything that you think is really worthy of being showcased at the awards, send along. We will be getting our nominations package out this summer. So I will keep in touch with the group about that and make sure that gets shared around with you all, so that you can make sure that it gets into the hands of all of the worthy artists and arts supporters in our community. And yeah, we are still toying with the idea of adding a category or shifting in categories. So again, all the suggestions, all ideas are helpful. You can send them directly to me or to Brandy, and she'll pass them along. So thank you very much.
I had way too much coffee this morning. That's why I'm talking so much. I got a new coffee press, so that's what I'm all about today. I think I talked about best pivoting is probably one of the things, and one that I just wrote down is a Zoomer Award, which is in the pandemic is what arts organization or whatever is made the best use of the platform.
The virtual world. That's a good one.
Virtual
all right, let me
world.
take a note here. Perfect. Thanks, Scott.
It's also a new bike day. I've been waiting for a bike for 2 years, and I'm going to get it fitted today at Trek Berry. So I'm all
a nice one then.
Yeah,
Good
wow,
bike.
nice. Whoa.
Buy a
Okay.
lock.
Yes.
Two. Yeah, double.
And
so
watch
take
for car
the,
doors. Don't get hit. Yeah, don't watch for car doors.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you for that, Amanda. That's awesome. I look forward to seeing that continue to evolve. Anything else? I think that's all of the agenda items. Anything else anyone wants to bring up?
So I'll
Jerry, are you
apologize
getting
again.
a new bike as well?
No, you're doing a great job as chair, by the way. You know, I'm looking at the
Thanks.
clock here, and you're right on time.
I know that's I pride myself on trying to get it down to the hour. Okay, great.
One thing,
anything
sorry,
else? Yeah,
is the Jazz and Blues Festival coming back this year? That you've heard of? Because that's been a major event.
Rob, do you know if if they've submitted an application yet for special event permit?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't think I've heard that yet.
I haven't heard anything either from Robin.
I hope so, but I haven't heard it. Yeah.
I haven't heard anything from Robin. It's been a while. So hopefully is that they're doing something, but we can always reach out.
Okay.
Great. Anything else? Awesome. Well, that was a very fulfilling meeting. Got lots done, feeling very good. Lots of questions answered, which is very nice. And can I get a motion to adjourn? Jerry, seconder? Okay, Councillor Riepma, perfect. All in favor? Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week or month, I guess. Have a great month.
Have a great day.